is the Revisionary Podcast with your host, Juan Carlos. The Revisionary Podcast.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Revisionary Podcast. And as always, I'm your host, Juan Carlos. So the way this works is we bring on a guest, usually a comedian, who tells a non-fiction story about their lives in which they wish things had gone a little bit differently. Afterwards, I give them an opportunity to retell the same exact story, as if this time they can change any facts or details that they would like. So I'm really excited because the first time I ever moved, well, not moved, but the first time I ever visited Washington, I had the pleasure of meeting this wonderful comedian named Birungi. And we were able to stay in touch over the years. So I'm excited that I'm actually going to give him a call and try to get him on for today's episode, or for this week's episode, rather, of the Revisionary Podcast. He's a really funny guy. And honestly, I just really always look forward to chatting with him. So this should be a lot of fun. Let's go ahead and get right to it. Let's see if we can get Birungi on the line. Hey, Birungi, how are you?
I'm pretty good. How about yourself?
Oh, man, I'm doing great. Thank you for coming on the Revisionary Podcast.
Happy to be here, sir. Thanks for the invite.
So what have you been up to?
I've been doing a lot of outdoor stuff, playing soccer. I'm a soccer coach as well, coaching some kids. Trying to be active outside.
Wait, were you like a soccer player growing up?
Sort of. It's always been like my go-to sport.
So you played in the MLS or what? You were going pro, third division? What's up?
No, I only played club in college, which is basically you either on the main team or club, which is less commitment.
Got it.
Yeah.
So you would have scored all over the main team. You just didn't want to do the commitment, right?
I didn't want to get on the bus and go to, Wichita or whatever. I play home games only.
Look, I get it. It's the same way why you didn't go pro. You just didn't want all that money and all that attention. I get it.
No. I don't want all those girls following me and stuff like that,
That's been a common problem.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about your background now. How long have you been in Washington?
I have been in Washington. I think I'm coming on to 12 years now.
12 years. Where are you from originally?
I'm originally from Uganda, and that's where I was born and raised. And then when I was about 17, 18, I got accepted into college in America. So I went to the Seattle University.
Okay.
Which is the small rival university to UW.
I thought it was the same school, actually.
No, it's funny because we used to play like basketball, soccer, like the two schools, and they like have a bigger budget, a bigger bus. Everything is bigger there.
Did you roll up in a cheese bus?
We just Ubered to the games.
Oh, y'all had Uber money. Okay, I see you.
No, we didn't have a school bus and stuff like that. UW did.
So
yeah.
So you grew up in Uganda. Like, did you grow up in a big city?
Yes and no. Yes, I went to school in the city. So the main city is Kampala, which is it's a busy city. Like not as fancy, but New York level.
Okay.
It's like lots of traffic, lots of foot traffic as well. But I went to boarding school, so I was kind of locked in. So I was in the city, but inside a small space.
So you're real life royalty. No, I'm just kidding. Don't answer that. For your safety, don't answer that, okay?
No, you're good.
All right. So what, if you don't mind me asking, then when you first came to the United States, what was the first thing that really surprised you about coming over?
What surprised me about coming over? Just the abundance of food.
I see.
Yeah, there's just too much food going on here, and I was because where I grew up, you eat basic stuff. It's like rice, beans, of course, meat here and there, and it's just like it's regular stuff,
Right.
But I get over here and there's so many different options, like the Mexican food, Japanese food, Chinese food. There's sandwiches. I didn't grow up eating sandwiches. And then you have things like Subway, where it's like bread and then you put chicken in the bread. I'm like, yo, these two don't go together.
Really?
Yeah, and then you can toast it. Like, y'all doing too much.
It's funny you said it had never even occurred to me that the variety of food could throw someone off.
I'm telling you, it took me a while to get used to the idea of all the different kinds of food and the different combinations. Like sandwiches, that one, we don't do sandwiches where I come from.
Really? So do you consider a hot dog a sandwich?
Hot dog I consider a hot dog a sandwich the same way I consider McDonald's a restaurant.
Fair enough. Okay, so wow. So the sandwiches really threw you. And why'd you choose to go to school in Seattle?
I didn't choose. Seattle chose me.
How many schools in the U.S. did you apply to?
One.
Right. So why that one is what I'm trying to figure out.
Well, it's a long story, but if I was to make it short, I graduated high school in Uganda. I put my name into the university admission process back home.
Right.
And all the universities rejected me back home.
Okay.
So I was screwed. Like I had no options. And then I got into an interview process where the winner would get a scholarship to go to Seattle University.
Oh, I see. So, okay. So you found about a competition. You didn't like research it and go, this is the school I want to go to.
No, I was clueless. Like I didn't even know Seattle as a city. Like, no, because, outside of America, people like if you go like in Uganda, when people think of America, they think New York. And that's
LA.
it.
Not LA and Miami?
DC, maybe Washington. Like when they hear Washington, all they know is DC.
Right.
Yeah. So I didn't know Seattle. I didn't know the school. I was clueless.
And what made you stay afterwards?
Well, I got married.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. She didn't want to go back to Uganda?
No, I mean, I got married, got a job, started paying taxes.
I see. So you're an American now.
Well, for now, yes.
For now. You're like keeping that second passport stashed away in case you need it.
Hey, man, you need options right now.
Look, I get it. And that's kind of what this podcast is about. It's about giving options. So why don't we go ahead and, Birungi, the stage is yours. Tell us your story.
Okay. My story. So like I was saying, I went to Seattle University. So this story actually starts when I graduated. First of all, I was the first one in my family to go to college. So that was a big deal. I got my business degree. But 4 years in the bucket, I was done. Party was over. It was time to move on to the real world.
Right.
And so this was an opportunity for me to find my first job as an adult. But, as it happens after graduation, some people already had got jobs lined up. I had friends that, they were like, oh, I'm going to work for Amazon. I'm going to work for Microsoft. Some friends were even already working before graduation.
Right.
I was not that lucky. I was on the different side where I couldn't find a job, despite the fact that I have to say I was an upstanding student.
Right.
Like I was in student government. I played club soccer. I was in debate team. My GPA was 3.8 and over. But despite my resume, I just couldn't find a job.
Did you have internships?
I did have internships, but unfortunately, none of them panned out into a full-time job.
Right.
But actually what happened, it wasn't a lack of experience or credentials. It mostly came down to my immigration status.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Like I went to multiple interviews, whereas like I would ace the interview. They ask questions, boom, I answer them. They ask GPA, boom, I got it. Work experience, I had done a couple internships, so I was good. And then before the end of the interview, things are looking good. And then they'll ask, oh, are you authorized to work in the United States?
Right.
And that's when pretty much the interview would nosedive. Yeah.
How were you answering that question at first?
Well, it's a complicated one because you have to be honest. Because what that means is the company has to sponsor your visa. Like,
Right.
And most companies don't want to go through that process.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, so after months of searching for a job, one day I get a phone call, and it was this recruiter that I've been talking to for a while. Her name was Shelly. And they say, hey, Birungi, my name is Sherry. I'm a recruiter. I saw your resume on LinkedIn. I have the perfect job for you. When are you available to interview? And I was like, oh my God, I was so excited. And instantly I was like, I could interview tomorrow if that works. And then, next day I put on my favorite suit. I was on time. I go for this job interview, and what recruiters do, they go through the entire thing. And then she was like, yo, you're the perfect person for this job. I think you got it. So I went home. I was happy. I was excited. I was like, yeah, I'm about to get my first gig ever.
Right.
And I did what any college student does, which is, I got together with friends and then, got beers, hit a few blunts, and we just celebrated because I'm like,
just had a huge party.
Yeah, we had a huge party. So that I had the job interview on like Monday. So that Monday night we got wasted, and then Wednesday, Shelly calls me back, and she's like, "Oh my God," she's like, "I have good news for you. You got the job. And we'll take care of your immigration stuff." And I was like, oh, cool. That's great. Thank you, Shirley. And then but before she hung up, she was like, oh, but wait, one last thing before we sign the contract. You need to take a drug test.
Oh, no. You had just partied.
I know. So I was like, oh, of course, that would not be a problem. But deep down, I knew, I was like, oh, my God. Monday evening and Tuesday, actually, all we did was smoke weed. So I was like, I got a lot of weed to get rid of in my system.
So now, at this point, was it legal in Washington yet?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, this was back then when, it was frowned upon even more. Like, it wasn't legal. That was 2008. Oh, no, 2012. So this was the beginnings, way before weed was as cool as it is now.
Okay. Sorry, go on.
Yeah. So anyway, I go in. She was like, there's no time. You got to go in tomorrow for the drug test. And I was like, yeah, let's do it. So as soon as I got off the phone, I was frantic. I started doing research, go online, like detox. How do you get rid of weed in your system? So anyway, I researched. There was a few magic drinks. I don't know if you remember this. There's some specific drinks, like you buy them from these small places, like the hookah. Those shops that sell tobacco, hookah, and all that stuff. They have detox drinks.
No, I didn't know that at all, actually.
Oh, they do. Yeah. So I go over there and they hook me up with one of these bottles. They're like, yo, you drink this, you'll be clean as a whistle.
Right.
Yeah. There's just like some timing. You have to take it at a specific time before the interview and it will just clean things up. I was like, yeah, cool. So I go to the drug testing place that I was supposed to go to. And I pee, get out, and they're like, oh, we'll call you tomorrow. We'll let you know. And I was like, okay, cool. So about the next day, after the results came back, Shelly calls me. She's like, hey, Birungi, yeah, I just spoke to the lab, and you took the test. Great, thank you. Thank you for the quick turnaround. One small problem is the results came out inconclusive.
What does that even mean?
I have no idea, but well, I do. I had diluted my stuff too much, I think.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. So she's like, unfortunately, I'm just gonna, ask you to, redo it.
Uh-huh.
I was like, oh, no problem. Absolutely no problem. I will do that for you. And so next day, that very night, I'm hanging out. I was not supposed to go out, but I did. And then we're at a bar. And then we go outside, we're hanging out with friends, and then somehow a blunt comes out of nowhere.
Right.
Yeah, and they're passing it around. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm not supposed to be doing this.
Please don't tell me you hit it again.
I was young and stupid. So, puff, puff, pass. You don't want to be that guy in the circle that's ruining the fun.
I mean, I guess, but did you want to stay in America bad enough?
I don't know, man. You do stupid things when you're young. I was like,
right. No, I understand.
Yeah. Anyway, so I hit the blunt. I was like, worry about that later. So anyway, next day, this time I went with just drinking water. I drank a bunch of water, and then I went running. I was like a UFC fighter that's trying to cut weight. So anyway, next day I go back to the drug testing place. The lady at the reception, she hands me the cup. She's like, oh, you're back. I pee in the cup, hand it off, walk out. I'm like, okay, fingers crossed. We'll see how this goes.
Right.
All right. Next day, Shelly calls me. She's like, hey, Birungi, the results came back.
Oh,
and
no.
It was too diluted. Like it was too white. And at this time I could hear in her voice, there was a little bit of concern.
Uh-huh.
It was getting frustrating for her and for me, of course. And I was like, oh, how could that happen? I was like, I'd be working out, I'd be drinking a lot of water,
Yeah.
And then she's like, unfortunately, we cannot proceed unless you get this squared away. I'm afraid, we're going to have to give the job to someone else.
Right.
I was like, oh my God. And she's like, you know what? Let's try one more time and just don't drink too much water. Just be yourself and, just do it. And this time she's like, she calls me in the morning and then she's like, oh, can you do it like this afternoon? And technically at that point, I still had some stuff in my system.
Right. Of course. How long does it normally last in your system?
It depends. I mean, I think it depends. I think 48 hours is roughly the.
Oh, really?
48 or more. It sticks around. Also, it depends. Like if they're just doing the pee, then it might be different. But like your hair and stuff, it stays in there for quite a bit. Oh,
okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah, so I was lucky that they didn't go with it. Like, cause with the hair, man, like you can't cut off your hair. There's all different kinds of testing systems, and depending on which one they do, that stuff lingers for a bit.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. Anyway, so this time, my friend drove me to the clinic, to the testing area. My friend's name is Chad. Yeah, so Chad, I meet up with Chad. We drive to the testing area. And Chad, let me tell you something about Chad. Chad is one of those like straight and narrow guys.
Mm-hmm.
He lives like a monk. He works out often, eats kale, flosses every day.
Right.
He's one of those friends that has never done any drug or anything like that.
He takes care of himself.
Also, side note, I don't know if it's relevant, but Chad is also black, like me.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, Chad drives me to the testing area. We pull up in the parking lot, and then he's like, yo, good luck, man. And I turned to Chad. I was like, hey, Chad, I need your help. And he's like, help? What do you mean? I was like, can you pee for me?
Right.
And he's like, are you crazy? I was like, no. It's like, man, I need this job. And I know my pee ain't going to be pure, clean. You're a healthy guy. You could do, you go inside there, you pee under my name, and I'll forever be grateful.
Right.
And he's like, oh, man, I don't know. The thing you're asking me to do is very risky. I was like, yo, don't worry about it. I've been there twice. I know the ladies at the reception. It was these two white ladies. I don't think they can tell us apart. And man, he was not buying it. Chad was like, no. And I was like, yo, man, you gotta help me out. I need your help. I need this job.
Right.
And after much convincing, Chad finally, he's like, okay, I'll do it. So I hand him my ID, and then I brief him the details, like, this is the floor that you're going on. This is what they're going to ask you to do, blah, blah, blah. I just give him all the details. And he's like, all right, cool. So Chad goes in, and he goes to take the test. And there I am. I'm like sitting in the parking lot, waiting frantically, not knowing, one, if they're going to buy it.
Right.
So I'm nervous. I'm in nervous rage right now. I wait 20 minutes, no Chad. I wait 30 minutes, no Chad. And then we going to an hour.
Oh, no.
I'm
What's
like,
going through your head at this time?
I'm just thinking, man, maybe, they got him. He's probably sitting on a curb with his shoes off, handcuffs.
You didn't think to go check? You're like, well, he's going to jail.
I know. I was thinking to myself, I started getting all this weird thoughts in my head. I was like, either Chad is walking out of that door, or it's going to be like Chad and some feds.
Right. No, that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm like waiting. I'm like, it's going to be like FBI guys with FBI jackets walking up to the car.
I'm surprised that was your concern and not that ICE was coming out.
ICE was not as big back then, but yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm in nervous wreck right now. And then after like an hour and a half, I see Chad walking outside the building towards the car. And I'm like looking at him, also staring to the back of him just to see, like,
Yeah, there's cops.
If there's no cops. Hopefully they didn't be like, oh, can you point him out? Or maybe he's coming back with a wire or something.
Right. Oh, my God. Someone has watched way too many, like, police TV shows.
I know, right? So anyway, he walks up to the car, and he's got this, his face is down. Like he doesn't look too happy. He walks in, sits in the car, shuts the door. And I was like, how'd it go? And he's like, man, it went great. They didn't figure it out. It worked. He gives me my ID. He's like, yo, man, I walked in there. There was just a long line of people that had to be tested. So I had to sit for a while, but he's like, yo, it worked. I handed them your ID. They showed me the place. I peed, and we're good for now. I was like, nice. So next day I get a call from Shelly. She's like, yo, I got the results. You passed. Good job. You got the job. And that's how I got my first job in America.
So you committed fraud. Got it.
Well, yeah, it's not something I am completely proud of.
Right.
Yeah. But then again, it's not it shouldn't be a big deal, Especially right now. Like right now, weed is legal. Everybody smokes weed now.
Right, but even now in Washington, do they still deny employment to someone who's caught testing positive?
That's the weird part. Companies still test people and expect people not to smoke. It's one of those weird things where it's like, oh, it's legal, but then the company kind of has its own set of rules, kind of thing.
That makes sense. You know what's interesting to me is there's a TV show, and I can't remember quite which one it was.
Yeah.
Where they had the same exact plot point, except that the problem was that the man going in stole urine from his female friend, and they caught him because she was pregnant, and they're like, "You're a man, you can't be pregnant."
Oh, that would be something.
Yeah, that's how they're like, yeah, we know that this isn't yours. Like, you definitely bought this urine from someplace else.
That's the funny part. Yeah, like if most people when they get into that pickle, there's a lot of research. There's so many options online, like detox drinks, overhydration, or buying pee, like, and a bunch of other solutions that people peddle online.
So now, were you at all concerned that it would affect your friendship if something had happened between you and your buddy?
Of course. I mean, to be honest, that is a very unreasonable request to make of someone. The irony is not lost on me. It's definitely, but at the same time, I think that was a legit test for our friendship.
Were you at all offended about how easily it was for him to like trick them into being you?
No, I mean, honestly, he's a good-looking guy, so I guess.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. If they say we look alike, I'll take it.
I see. Okay, and now. What was like his feeling throughout the entire thing? Like, I know he said that it went well, but was he nervous while he was waiting? Was he able to talk to you about that?
Yeah, he was nervous because obviously, I mean, I gave him there was a lot going on here, and again, I think we're way past the point of what they call it, perjury.
Yeah, I don't even know if it's perjury. Someone will correct us when they listen to us.
Yeah, so there's definitely there's a lot of gray area in this thing, and if you had his face side by side with my ID, I think any objective person can clearly tell us apart. But the fact, somehow though, I had a feeling, because I'd seen those ladies at the reception, and I had this weird confidence that they could not catch it.
Yeah, that they wouldn't be paying close attention.
Yeah, but also it's true. Black people think we look alike. It's a real thing.
I think there was a study done, and again, someone listening out to this can correct us later, but I think there was a study done that says that people of different races struggle recognizing the differences between people of a different race. And so in this instance, white people might struggle telling the difference between black people. Asian people might struggle telling the difference between white people, because, I don't know, I guess it's something to do with like being of a certain race. You get to notice all the like tiny details to distinguish people apart.
That is true. I'm not gonna lie. There are certain there are certain people I can't tell apart. Like I won't say which group.
For shame. Okay, so let's go into this now.
Yeah.
If you could go ahead and retell the story.
Yeah.
What details about the story would you change?
I would change the person that helped me out, Chad.
You wouldn't put him in that situation again?
No, I would still. No. I think I would be curious, if not to steal your premise earlier, but I'm curious what there's different ways this could go. It will be interesting depending on what friend I chose to do it.
So why don't you walk me through it? let's put different friends in that situation and tell me how you think it would have worked out.
Okay, so I have another friend who, if he had been the guy who sat in for me, they'll probably would be like, "Yo, we find cocaine in your system."
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, there's some friends where I would actually never ask them for that because I know they're up to no good ever. So there's some friends I would never ask. But also, I'm curious. It will be interesting if it was like your girlfriend,
Right.
yeah. But I think that would be the ultimate test for a friendship, for a relationship. If you had your girl pee for you, or vice versa. But then again, of course, that would be tricky because obviously they can't use my ID. So,
well, let me ask you this:
yeah,
what have you done for Chad since then?
Well, Chad was my best man.
Okay, at the wedding. I mean, he might as well be.
Yeah,
that man almost caught a case for you.
Right? No, true story. He was my best man, and I do not take his help loosely. Like, it was something special that he did, and I am eternally grateful and aware.
Okay.
Yeah, but we're good friends, and we keep in touch a lot. Yeah, I think I could confidently say he's my best friend.
So, talk to me about the impact of this decision. How has it impacted your life? Like, obviously, you got your first job, but how has that affected you today?
How has it affected me today? For one, I do not smoke too much. I was going through a phase, a pot phase, and I think I've overcome that. I do partake every once in a while, but that I'm pretty much I skipped that phase. I'm a grown man now. I'm aware of my responsibilities and the things I have to do. So I take my jobs a little more seriously now. I'm also aware of the position I'm in, especially as an immigrant, and having a college degree, having the network that I have and the opportunities that I have. I try to make better decisions because I've been a rascal before,
right?
And spoiled brat, and I feel much more responsibility around the decisions when it comes to work.
So I hate to ask you this,
yeah,
but do you feel like you cheated someone else out of their job? Because there was somebody else who was waiting to see if you weren't going to get it right, and they would have been the next person up.
Well, in the words of Chris Rock, if we're tied for the job and the next person in line is white, fuck him.
Wow. I mean, but you don't know what they look like, so that.
No, I don't. No, that was me. No, what I'm trying to say is, if it's another immigrant, then yeah, maybe it did. But chances are, most of these positions I was handicapped to begin with.
Right. You're fighting with one hand tied behind your back.
Yeah. So I do, of course, there's an element of cheating here, but also the system was never playing ball with me. Like I said, I was a good student. I had all my papers, my academic papers in line. I did my internships. I did interviews and I did great, but the system just wouldn't let me in. And then the one time it lets me in, I get in my own way.
You know what? No, that's fair. That makes a lot of sense to me. So, unfortunately, we're running out of time here. So before I let you go,
yeah,
we like to end this podcast. We have a tradition here, and I like to ask you one last question. Could you tell us a quick story from your childhood that brings a smile to your face or like makes you feel warm inside? Just a happy memory that you hold from your childhood.
a happy memory that I hold from my childhood. It was a sad childhood.
Come on, it couldn't have been that bad.
No,
well, let me not say that. I don't know your life.
No. A happy memory that I have from when I was a kid, I think, would be one particular birthday party. I had a favorite auntie. Like, growing up, there's always that one auntie where, like, you like going to her house.
Right.
The food is better there. Things were just nicer there. They had a VCR.
Mm-hmm.
They had karaoke. It was a fun place to go to. So
for those of you guys who are listening, if you're younger than Birungi and I, VCRs were these systems that we used to use to watch movies. It's how you guys use Blu-rays and DVD players nowadays.
Exactly. Yeah. So anyway, we met at my auntie's house, and it was a birthday party for one of my cousins. And, there was a big table, and, they had all kinds of muffins. They had a big cake for the birthday. There was decoration everywhere. And everyone in the family came over. All my uncles were there. All my aunties were there. Grandpa, grandma. And actually, to this day, I can't find it, but there's a photo of the whole family, singing happy birthday. It wasn't even my birthday, but it was so much fun. And in the photo, you can see my head peeking over the table like that. with their whole family surrounding the table, and, all the colors coming out. And it was just a happy moment. So much so that, most of us have moved on, from the photo. Like, if you go one by one, it's like people have grown, people have moved away. We're so much further apart. But that particular photo, that particular moment was just right. That sounds special.
Before I let you go, also, do you have any last words for the Revisionaries?
Yes. Last words would be... follow me online on my social medias. I'm trying to be active over there. I just launched my website, which is my last name, comedy. So Birungi Comedy, BIRUNGI Comedy. And that's my handle for Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Pornhub, pretty much anywhere online.
You're out here directing your own films?
Yeah, man.
That's wild. All right. Thank you so much for your time today. We really appreciate having you.
Absolutely, man. I had a blast. I hope you did too.
No, I did. Take care.
All right, man. Take care.
The Revisionary Podcast.
For the record, I do not endorse any of his actions, and I don't even know if he just snitched on himself, but that's on him. I'm going to leave that. I enjoyed the story. I'm glad that I got to hear it, and I want to thank you guys for tuning in for another week of the Revisionary Podcast. And honestly, as always, I'm your host, and thank you for listening.
This is